Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. I'm standing on a yoga mat. If you don't have one, fear not. You can find a place in your home that's not too slippery, not too hard, so something carpeted, or maybe you've got a rug that can become your yoga mat for today. Also, I have a couple of yoga blocks, but you can substitute thick books. There's sometimes that I will say, hey, you could use the arm of your couch or the arm of a chair or even a wall if we're using them for balance. And a folded blanket, which could be as simple as a beach towel or the throw blanket from your sofa. We'll start in the bedrock of all poses. Our feet hip distance, it's called mountain pose. And let's turn our palms away from each other and let that happen at the shoulder joint so we uplift our heart. Not our chin, mind you, out of habit we sometimes go there, so let your chin be parallel to the ground, a little soft bend in our knees, and let's land. Here, where we are, right now. Let's use our breath as one of the tools to do that. Notice your breath coming in and your breath going out. If you can, see if you can let your breath just come in and out through your nose. If that's not doable, no problem. Breathe any way that you can, but with awareness. We'll add a little movement. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Take your hands to your thighs for this first one. Use traction against your thighs to inhale and uplift your heart like you're seeking a back bend between your shoulder blades. And when we exhale and fold in a little bit deeper, we keep that same long spine. Then inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Stand in your mountain, palms face out. Little soft bend in our knees. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Hands go to your thighs. You might keep your long spine and slide down to your shins or your ankles. What I don't want is a round as you do that, so be honest and find the right spot. Then inhale, uplift your heart. You might slide your hands up your shins towards your thighs. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hip. Go folding in a little deeper, but not rounding in. And then inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V. Stand in your mountain, palms face out. Let's do that part one more time. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins or ankles. We stay long. We get even longer as we inhale and uplift our hearts. We exhale, slide back in, but lengthen back in. And then inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, V. Stand in your mountain, adding on to our sun salutation. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs, your shins, or your ankles. Inhale, slide your hands up if it's helpful, but we lengthen and uplift our heart. And then exhale, fold in, but keep the length in your spine. And now bend your knees deeply so that your hands are solid on the ground. Then we step back to our first down dog of the day. You might step your feet as wide as your mat. Lift your tailbone like there's a hook in your tailbone. Oomph into your arms so that you're really long on all four sides of your torso. We're not collapsed. We're not looking at our hands. Our elbows aren't bent. And then we'll use an exhale to start to walk skillfully our feet back to our hands. Inhale, uplift your heart, hands to ankles, shins, or thighs. Exhale, fold in, but we keep prioritizing the long spine. Then inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V, and we stand in our mountain, palms face out. Adding another friend. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Inhale, lengthen, uplift like a little smiling back bend, and then exhale, hinge at your hips, but keep the length in your spine. Bend your knees enough that your hands go flat on the ground. Step back to your down dog. You can be wide with your feet, maybe hip distance for a few of us. And then shift it towards a plank so our shoulders are over our wrists. You're welcome to bring your knees to your mat. Then head it back to down dog, like the hook in your tailbone is lengthening you all the way to the back wall. And then bend your knees and empty your lungs as you walk forward. Feet hip distance, hands to ankles, shins or thighs as we inhale and uplift our heart. Exhale, fold back in, hinging at your hips. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V. Stand in your mountain and get your druthers. Chin parallel to the ground. Adding on, inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins or ankles. Inhale, lift your heart. Bend your knees deeply. Hands flat on the ground before we step back into down dog. Maybe feet as wide as our mat, probably on our tippy toes or on the balls of our feet as opposed to worrying about heels down. And then shift towards plank. And with your plank, oomph into your arms so we're not collapsed in between the shoulder blades. Bring your knees to your mat directly beneath where they were when you were in your plank. Make sure we're not collapsed with our hips. So we want to lift our belly towards our spine. Shift a little bit forward like our chin is going to touch first, lower to your belly. And then uncurl your toes and bring yourself into Sphinx pose, forearms parallel to the ground. Traction, elbows towards you. Press into the tops of your feet until your kneecaps lift. So you are very active in your legs here. Feel your low belly lift so we're not dumping into our low back. Lower down and curl your toes under. Come through all fours. And then into down dog, still prioritizing our very long spine. And then walk your feet forward. They will land hip distance at the front edge of your mat. Hands to ankles, shins or thighs as we inhale and uplift our heart. And then exhale, fold back in, but keep your length. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V, and then we stand and pause in our mountain. Let's flow what's called sun salutation A. I'll keep giving you options. Enjoy using your agency and making it your own. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins, ankles. Inhale, uplift your heart, bend your knees a lot, palms flat, step back to your down dog. Remember, hook in our tailbone. We shift forward, shoulders over wrists, plenty of oomph in our arms, knees down, belly solid, drawing towards your spine. Shift a little forward, elbows brush your ribs as we lower onto our belly and uncurl our toes. You can do Sphinx pose once again, or keep your hands next to your ribs for Cobra. What I don't want is a struggle in the neck. So press into the tops of your feet and activate your legs. Keep your chin parallel to the ground and either traction your hands or your forearms for a long, strong back bend. Lower down, curl your toes under, come through all fours. And then back to our down dog with the hook in our tailbone. Walk forward, feet to our hands, they are hip distance. Inhale, hands to ankles, shins or thighs as we uplift our heart. Exhale, hinge at your hips and fold. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V. And then stand in your mountain and let's pause. One more sun salutation A as we flow. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins or ankles. There's a little bend in our knees, but lengthen our spine. Inhale, uplift your heart. Your hands might slide up. Exhale, fold in, but keep the length. Bend your knees deeply, palms flat. Step carefully back to down dog. Find the hook in your tailbone. Shift it to a plank position, shoulders over wrists, oomphing in our arms, knees down, belly lifts. shift a little forward, elbows brush our ribs as we lower down and uncurl our toes for either cobra with our hands down or sphinx pose with our forearms down. Activate your legs. Long and strong is our back bend. Lower down enough that you can place your hands, curl your toes under, come through all fours and into down dog. We pause in down dog. Then we'll walk forward, feet hip distance, hands to ankles, shins or thighs as we lift our heart. Exhale, hinge at your hips, keep the length in your spine, and then inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V. Pause, palms face out, we stand in our mountain. Arranging our props, we bring the 2 blocks off the sides of our mat. So I'm looking at the small edge of my mat. My blocks are off the long edge of my mat, but they are within reach. We just never want to place our props right underfoot. We begin, as we have done, with our sun salutation, and we are adding a friend. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hands to your thighs, shins or ankles as we lengthen and fold, and then inhale, uplift like a little bit of a sphinx pose. Exhale, hinge at your hips and bend your knees, palms flat, step back to down dog. This time in our down dog, lift your right leg behind you and then step your right foot forward. It likely takes a little helping along. You can think of stepping it towards where your right thumb was. Let's build out our lunge so we're not swinging our hips out to the right, we're swinging our hips to the left, and this is where likely you take your 2 blocks on either side of that right foot, which gives us our long spine that we always want to prioritize. And we'll just stay here for a moment, feel our feet on the floor, the length through our spine, and our breath through our body. Now, move your blocks off to the side, take your hands to your mat, and step to down dog. It might take a little convincing. That's a lot of a very deep forward fold. Now make sure we're not in this bending our elbows and compressing into our neck. So we want to feel our tailbone lift, and then we'll lift our left leg, step it forward towards our left foot. You want to help it along likely. Trot your blocks into the mix. Remember, we're not swinging our left hip out to the left. We'd like to organize it so that we're swinging our left hip back. This will be very helpful intel as we continue our sun salutation flow. And then lengthening our spine, mindful of our breath. 3 moments together here. Now again, this is kind of a difficult thing to get our hands to our mat. You might even gently bring your back knee down, move your blocks, and make your way into down dog. Like I said earlier, enjoy taking agency in the ways that work for you with all these poses. Now we'll walk our feet forward up to our hands, feet hip distance, hands to ankles, shins or thighs as we inhale and uplift our heart. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Remember, length through our spine, even as we get a little tired. And then inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V. We pause, palms face out. Now, we'll start to build what's called sun salutation B together. I will again give you lots of options. You might even make it that lunge that we just did instead of another option that I'll give you in a moment. We'll start in a chair pose, so shift your weight back towards your heels, bend your knees, thumbs to the sky. This is our inhale. Exhale, hands to thighs, shins or ankles. We fold, but we keep that length in our spine, right? Inhale, uplift your heart. Exhale, fold in, bend your knees deeply enough that you can make your way into down dog. Once we're in down dog, we'll lift our right leg and then step that right foot forward, and maybe you help it along. Now, option to stay on your back toes. You might even just stay here with your hands on your blocks. Perhaps you turn your left foot flat, or not. Maybe you come upright, thumbs to the sky. So that can be on your back toes or with your back foot down. If it's bothering your back knee, you definitely want to be on those back toes. Then hands to our blocks. Remember, you might bring your back knee down, step it into your down dog. Now this is a little curveball. Ready? Shift towards plank, oomph into your arms, knees down, belly firm, shift forward, lower very slowly all the way onto your belly. Uncurl your toes for either Sphinx pose with your forearms down or Cobra pose with your hands down. Lower down, curl your toes under, come through all fours, and then make your way to down dog. Once you're in down dog, let your left leg lift behind you, and then use that momentum and any help that you might need to step your left foot forward. It can be as simple as bringing your blocks in and repeating what we did earlier. You might stay on your back toes or turn your back foot flat, and we come upright if that works in your body for today. Thumbs to the sky, V shape. Spin on your back toes with your hands on your blocks. Maybe back knee comes down as we navigate into our down dog. And then this time from down dog, oomph into your arms, walk forward, feet hip distance. Inhale, hands to ankles, shins or thighs as we uplift our heart. Exhale, hinge at your hips, keep the length through your spine. Chair pose, bend your knees, weight in your heels, thumbs to the sky, a V, and then stand it up. Oh my goodness, that was a lot, and guess what? We're doing it one more time. So let's pause a second and find our breath. And then we will inhale, chair pose. Exhale, hinge at our hips, hands to thighs, ankles, or shins. Inhale, uplift your heart. Remember, we're always keeping the length in our spine as we fold back in. Bend your knees, palms flat, step it carefully into your down dog. Once you're in down dog, lift your right leg and then step it forward, and feel free to help it along. You can use your blocks and stay in the lunge. You can come upright on the ball of your foot or turn your left foot flat. Upright we go, thumbs to the sky, and then hands to your mat. Spin on your toes. Feel free to lower that back knee or anything you need to do. Step it to down dog. There's that hook in our tailbone, and then we shift it towards a plank, shoulders over wrists, knees down, belly firm, all the way to our belly, elbows brushing our ribs. Uncurl your toes for either Sphinx or for your Cobra, and then lower down, curl your toes under, come through all fours, and into down dog. Our left leg lifts behind us, and then you step it forward, and it could be that you help it along. You might keep it a lunge. You might stay on your back toes or back foot flat, and then up we go, thumbs to the sky, only if that works for you. Return your hands to your blocks and spin on your back toes. Give yourself what you might need to step to down dog. And then from down dog, oomping into our arms, we step forward, feet hip distance. Inhale, hands to ankles, shins or thighs. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips, but stay long in your spine. Chair pose, thumbs to the sky, a V. Stand it up and pause. Adding one more friend and one more variation of our sun salutations. Chair pose is our inhale. We'll exhale, fold hands to ankles, shins, or thighs. Inhale, uplift your heart. Now this time you might trot your blocks in right away. We step our left foot back and we're in our lunge. And we've stepped it back into the lunge instead of our down dog. Now we'll be a little bit dynamic here, so you can keep your hands on your blocks and the blocks tall if you want to, but straighten your front leg, keep the length in your spine, and it's not a locked out leg, and then bend your front knee. Let's let this be our inhale, and this be our exhale as we dynamically go back and forth. So bending our front knee, we inhale, straightening our front leg and hinging at our hip, we exhale. go back and forth a couple of times. And then we'll stay with a straight leg because we haven't really spent a lot of time with a straight-legged fold, and it gives us the opportunity to refine pressing our right big toe mound. So we've got a little micro bend in our knee. What we're not doing is rounding. So if you use your blocks as if you were doing Sphinx pose, the hinge at our hip, and then all the sensations of stretch that we're actually looking for can show up. 2 moments here. We'll bend our right knee and step forward, left foot hip distance from right. Inhale, hands to shins, thighs, ankles as we uplift. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Let's make it a chair pose, thumbs to the sky, and then stand and pause. And we'll do that little sun salutation C on our second side. So chair pose is our inhale. Exhale, hands to thighs, shins, ankles. Inhale, uplift your heart. Hands to blocks, step your right foot back this time. We land on the ball of our back foot. We'll inhale, bending our knee, and exhale, straightening and hinging at our hip. We'll go back and forth. So inhaling, bending the knee. Exhale, it's a forward fold, not a rounded forward fold. And a few more like that. Inhale, bending into our lunge. Exhale, lengthening into our fold. One more time with our back and forth, and then let's stay here in our forward fold. Remember, it's like the traction of our cobra or our Sphinx pose. We're not locked into our left leg. There's a little micro bend, and we can really find that from the ground up by pressing our left big toe mound. Let's enjoy a few moments of a straight-legged stretch here. And then bend that left knee, step forward, right foot hip distance from left, hands onto our thighs as we inhale and lift our heart, and then exhale, fold it in. Chair pose, thumbs to the sky, a V, and then stand and pause in your mountain. Let's move our blocks off to the side just so that they don't trip us up in any way. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins or ankles. Inhale, lift your heart. Now, as you fold in, bend your knees deeply, palms flat. We step it carefully into our down dog. We've got our hook in our tailbone. Shift it to plank, oomph into your arms, shoulders over wrists, knees down, belly towards our spine. Slowly lower all the way onto your belly. Uncurl your toes for either cobra or Sphinx pose. And then lower down, hands next to our floating ribs, curl your toes under through all fours. That takes a little core work. Stay here on all fours and come kneeling. Now, we're kneeling with our toes curled under right now, and that's a good thing. I'm going to actually move up so that you can see me a bit. You might want to pad your knees with your folded blanket. We'll make our way in a moment into a back bend that's kneeling, but I want to give you, as you're standing up and looking at me, a few important pointers. One is, you might take your 2 tall blocks and place them to the outside of your feet just in case you end up using those. What we're not doing, so note, this is not doing, is trying to do this with our neck. We're also not shoving our hips forward and going into our low back too much. I want us to think long, strong back bend like we talked about when we did Sphinx pose, and turn it into this kneeling back bend. So take your thumbs onto your tailbone. That's the bony part right in your lower back. And I want you to think that you're lowering that tailbone to the ground, not tucking it forward, but giving it some oomph into the ground, just like you can feel your shins and your knees. And if it's too much on your knees, for sure, use that padding. We do have our toes curled under. That's going to be helpful. Now imagine that you're trying to go up and over a barrel. So that means not into this position, but going up and up and up and up. In fact, let's make our V shape, thumbs to the sky, and feel how tall we are. So we have that feeling of tall and thumbs on our tailbone, and that gives us space to go up and over, and then a little bit of a smile to our collarbones, and this is enough. Your belly's firm. You could take your hands, your fingertips to those blocks. It's your sternum, your chest that's lifting. We're not throwing our head back, and then we'll just carefully come up and pause here. If that was enough, feel free to stay here. You can also stack your two blocks and sit on them like a bench and spend the second round of this that way. If you're ready, let's take that moment to reach tall. So we remember we're, long and strong. Then thumbs on our tailbone is solid towards the ground. We go up and over our barrel, and your thumb can stay on your tailbone or your fingertips can venture for your blocks. And we're just making sure it's not our neck, it's not our low back. We're inviting the shoulder blade area of our spine to a little smile. And then we'll come up with our belly firm and our dog arriving. And we'll uncurl our toes and move our blocks off. Whoops, sorry. Move our blocks off to the side. That's Tippy, if you've not met Tippy yet. I am now going to sit on my folded blanket for a cross-legged seat with my right shin in front of my left shin. Now, I'm not crossed at the ankles. I'm walking a little further, so I've got ankles underneath knees. And I'm going to take a twist for a second. So thumbs to the sky V, I'm turning to my right, my left arm outside my right thigh, and every time I inhale, I find that same long spine from our back bend, and when I exhale, it's just a little loving nudge into my twist. And I'll do the same thing, coming through center, thumbs to the sky, turning to my left hand behind me, right arm on the outside of my left thigh. Every inhale I grow tall, just like that, kneeling back bend. And every exhale, just a little loving nudge into my twist. And then we'll unravel and cross our left shin in front of our right shin now. So if you need a little of this business in between sides, go for it. Left shin in front of right shin, palms up or down. Lots and lots of really fun sun salutation movement and flow in our practice. Let's drop into some meditative stillness. You can close your eyes or just divert your gaze. And your choice, this is where you can express agency also. You might finish in a seated cross-legged meditation or make your way to lying down on your back in our Shavasana final meditation. I'll be silent and we'll end our practice together in our meditation, whichever one that is. You're welcome to stay here in your seated meditation, your Shavasana final meditation for as long as you would like. If you're lying down and you want to join us seated, take your time, eventually collecting your knees into your chest, rolling to one side, letting your head be the last thing to come up to seated. And once we're seated, you can make a prayer in front of your heart, place your hands on your heart, but just take a moment of deep gratitude for the movement and the stillness, the mindfulness, the meditation. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I look forward to us doing it again together soon.